What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be starting off a new trend. It is Mock Draft Monday, so every single Monday we are going to be doing a one-round no-trade mock draft, and then on Tuesdays and Wednesdays we are going to be continuing and doing a 1 and 2 of a trades mock draft just to see how things will shape up, because I do know the draft order does change. I don't want to continue when there's not something there, but I also like giving you guys good content, because sometimes I'm forced to make a pick that I wouldn't necessarily make, and it's really cool to create that discourse and be able to understand that situation where, you know, you're sitting there and you're like, man, if I have to take a player here, maybe because this guy's the best value, this is what I'm going to get. So let me know what you guys think of that. I think that's a really cool idea because of the fact I'm going to be put in situations where I can't just bail out of them, but let's have some fun. If you guys are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, join the community. I'm going to harp on this all damn day long. Join the Discord. I do stuff like tape studies over there and stuff I can't do on YouTube. And guess what? Unlike a lot of YouTubers, it is absolutely free. So please, please come and join. But let's jump right into the mock draft. Starting off with the number 1 overall pick, I don't really need to waste all of our time on this. A quarterback is the guy in question. We need to do it. We need to go after one. And I think Bryce Young is the best one by a long shot. Now, CJ actually is fairly consistent. Here's my issue with him, and I'll explain this more when I do my quarterback updates. It's the mistakes, and every quarterback makes them. That's totally understandable, and I understand that CJ has some very high-level plays, but when you watch some of these mistakes, you have to actually ask what the hell is going on in your mind. Now, Will Levis has those plays as well. I totally understand that, and I don't have Will Levis above him. That's why I have my board here so you guys can see it. Of course, my dumbass decided to, oh, look at that. I even messed it up live. Yeah, Command Z works a trick, but I basically have this here so you guys can see. You guys know that I have CJ at 27. I also have a stock report video that it is my worst performing series, but I still put it up for you guys because I want you guys to see those guys who are moving rather than just being like, oh, I now notice that you have this guy here. So I know I have a very unique board. A lot of people are not going to agree with it. Probably everybody is not, but I still have CJ above Will Levis. I think CJ is better than Will Levis. I see the flashes with Will Levis. I do with CJ. Both of them make some really stupid mistakes that I don't know are correctable in the NFL. So I am genuinely concerned. Like, throwing a slant into triple coverage looks like an easy way to continue giving pick sixes. And when you have like literally 5 first-round quality wide receivers at least at your disposal in your 2-year career, you should be, able to at least parse the defense a little bit better without making those really head-scratching mistakes. Regardless, I'm going to go Bryce Young here. I do think he's the best in the class. He just brings a new level of processing to the table that not many people do. And he has great pocket awareness. Same thing with CJ. And I really do like when a quarterback knows what the hell's going on around him, because then he doesn't usually get surprised. I'm a big fan of Bryce Young. He's been able to make a lot out of a little there at Alabama, which doesn't seem to make sense. But when you start realizing the comparative disadvantages that Alabama has compared to schools like Georgia, you start understanding that, Bryce Young is the first Alabama quarterback where we're seeing them more in translatable situations. So I do like Bryce Young. Ja'Cory Brooks is probably the only guy who I would consider like a legit NFL star talent on his roster in terms of receiving talents, but Jahmyr Gibbs in there as well. I digress. Pick number 2 for the Bears. It's really down to 2 players. If you can't trade out of the spot, remember, guys, this is no trades. It's Jalen Carter or Will Anderson, and I'm going to continue pounding the table for Jalen Carter, and I'm going to give a quick synopsis here. I've gone into depth about this multiple times on other mock drafts, but here's the gist of it. Basically, there's something called opportunity cost. What do you give up by basically doing an action here instead of an action here? So you give up on Will Anderson. So next round, you still need an edge rusher. So you're getting him probably in round 2 or 3 or free agency. So are the talents good enough in round 2 or 3? I think so. I think you can get 85% Will Anderson in the next round just because of how deep this class is. This is the deepest edge class that we've probably seen. It's definitely the deepest class that I've ever studied. So you're able to get first-round quality talents, hell, damn near elite talents there at the late first, early second round. Even late second round, you're still getting late first potential talents, and to me that's totally worth it, because if you pass on Jalen Carter, there are, 1, a lot of teams that do want a interior defensive lineman, but 2, the drop off just from Jalen to the next guy, like Denver's option at interior, exponential drop. So I think that is totally worth it. Jalen Carter is a freak. Obviously, he literally picked up Jaden Daniels with one arm, which, to be fair, like, he's not that heavy, but it's still absolutely incredible because he's so athletic. Pick number 3. I've been also pounding the table for this. There's 2 scenarios with Geno Smith. 1, he's really good. 2, he returns back to what we thought Geno was. And if he's really good, then you either have a quarterback to succeed him, or you could tag and trade Geno for a lot of picks, which seems to be Seattle's bread and butter, is trading away quarterbacks and getting better value. So if you draft a quarterback here, and I'm pounding the table for CJ Stroud, I know Will Anderson's an amazing scheme fit. Again, I have so many second-round picks. I'm still going to get someone who is really close to Will Anderson's impact on my roster. You're not going to get that with quarterback. This is a really weak quarterback class. It's a very thin quarterback class. So I'm not going to waste too much time here. I'm going to go CJ Stroud. Again, if then, Geno returns to earth, you have your franchise quarterback already. You don't have to force a pick next year. And then you don't even have to go the entire year with Geno Smith because you do have CJ Stroud. And you have a good receiving core and you have a developing offensive line. So he should feel really at home. Of course, I don't know if Michigan State beat Ohio State last year, but I digress. Pick number 4. So, because it would be weird with Kenneth Walker in there just after beating him if that were the case, because I believe that is true. Number 4, so the Rams pretty much gifted the Dolphins, the Lions, this pick, and it should be used on a QB. In the real NFL, God forbid it will actually be used on Will Levis. I don't think I would spend a top 5 pick on Will Levis. His age is not there. Even with CJ, he's younger. So you have an understanding where it's like, okay, yeah. I'm not going to be going that route just out of respect for y'all. And I do like Will Levis, like a lot more than his haters, but a lot less than his big supporters here at PFF. He's number 31 on my big board. We'll scroll this down a little bit so you get to see a little bit more on my board. So I'll show you guys. So Will Anderson is a scheme fit. You guys have corrected me. And again, feel free to correct me down in the comment section below. You guys know the deal. Just don't be a dick about it, and that will be perfectly fine. Will Anderson's my number 1 player in the class. You guys corrected me in saying that you guys run more of a hybrid 3-4-4-3. I think Will Anderson would be an amazing guy to be able to rotate in there and be a big impact next to your former number 2 overall pick, Aiden Hutchinson. Pick number 5. This should be a QB, but, I mean, they're even releasing Baker Mayfield at this point. It's not good. I mean, hell, Jimmy G's still going to be out there. You're still going to be able to potentially go after Derek Carr. I wouldn't spend this pick on a QB. I wouldn't. That's just me. I'm not comfortable. I don't think Will Levis brings much more than Sam Darnold to the table, especially year 1. And if you want to tank for Caleb, I think that's probably your best case scenario. So for me, it's probably the worst spot to be in the entire draft if you can't trade out. And I don't think that there's any team that really could trade up here. And that's been the struggle that I've had the past mock draft. The past 2 mock drafts I've done is you're sitting here and you're not gifted anybody. Like Will Anderson, scheme fit. Like Myles Murphy is the guy who I'm going to be taking here, just to be blunt. But like there's no team willing to trade up for Will Levis. I know y'all need a QB, but there's just sometimes a time where you gotta say it's okay for us to bite the bullet. And I think this is a good situation. Again, you have Matt Corral. I don't think that's necessarily good enough to invalidate Will Levis's potential, but at the same time, Myles Murphy is just so much better of a prospect. He's going to fill in a big need. He's going to be a big contributor, and he's just consistent. So I really do love Myles Murphy there. Again, we're not trading out here. So the Eagles, this has to be, it's down to corner as well as edge rusher. I'm fully sold on Joey Porter to the Eagles. Amazing in run support. I rewatched him, and he actually improved compared to my spot where I had him at number 1. The guy's just unbelievable. Amazing field awareness. Really grabby, but he needs to fit more of a zone-heavy scheme. And I think this is a great spot for him. He can fit in a man scheme as well, but I just think this is more of his bread and butter. He fits perfectly where Garrett Bradbury. Every time, man. James Bradbury is. So definitely replacing him with a much cheaper option on a 5-year deal seems to be a very financially good move when you're probably going to have to pay Jalen Hurts. So pick number 7, we're going to get the X wide receiver. Just going to full send it here. Jaguars, I don't know what to say. You guys are super hot and cold. So, at least be able to get a true number one. Zay Jones made a good impact, and this guy's a lot better than Zay. So we'll see how Quentin fares against these Michigan DBs in the playoff, but time will tell. Pick number 8. So I think that at this spot, going offensive line might be the best return on your investment. This team does need people everywhere. So I don't think you can make a bad pick, but I do understand there is this connection with Kelee Ringo back to high school there in Arizona. So for me, I think that I could probably snag a guard or something in the next round. Obviously, a center. There's multiple of those. So Kelee Ringo, definitely worth the price. And he had a little bit of struggles against LSU, but you know that Kelee Ringo is not going to be a consistent threat. He's going to be similar to Trevon Diggs in the fact that he's going to jump a route. He's going to end the game. So I definitely think that his big playability is totally worth a top 15 pick. And the scheme fit, the culture fit as well, just makes total sense. Pick number 9. This is probably, so I comp Carson Wentz as Will Levis. Will Levis seems to be Carson Wentzy. And I personally want him with Dable or Reich. That's obviously not the case here. But at the same time, I don't want to continue living in a universe where I'm saying we're going to have another sloppy second QB move in here. I do think Derek Carr is the perfect fit. But at the same time, based on his play right now, he's been actually able to pull out some wins. Maybe they're like, you know what? He's on a relatively friendly deal. We can keep him, and then you're pretty much screwed. I don't think Jimmy G is going to bring much after his foot injury to this team. So we're going to try Will Levis here. Everybody's saying Will Levis is going to be a top 10 pick, so that's where we're going to rock. Pick number 10. So we'll speed this up a little bit. I think this is a great spot for a corner, and my favorite fit in the entire draft, honestly, even if I were seeing the top 5, is probably Christian Gonzalez. Man-to-man corner, really aggressive. You have A.J. Terrell there, and now you'll have pretty much the most dynamic duo, in my opinion, especially in terms of amazing fit off the get-go. This guy deserves to be a absolute bona fide star player. He's my number 10 player on my board, taking at number 10. Pick number 11. Definitely could look in the range of Jordan Addison here, but I do like the options in round 2 for somebody to step up and be able to play that slot wide receiver. I just don't trust Jordan Addison to be able to do that at the next level. Guaranteed. I don't want to force him to the outside when I can get someone who I know is going to be a pure slot and get someone like Peter Skoronski's talent. I think tackle/guard ability is definitely coveted. Definitely have been continuing my trend from last draft, but I do think that is your best return on your investment. So that's where we're going to be rocking. The Raiders, we're going to change it up a little bit. I like going after DB for you guys. We're going to go Cam Smith here. Yeah, no QB today, but Cam Smith, very aggressive man corner. Somebody who I think would be a really good fit on your team. He just feels gritty enough to be a Raider, so I think that would be probably my favorite fit out of the guys available, even though I'm a little bit lower on Cam Smith at the moment. Pick number 13. So I think Jordan Addison is honestly a perfectly fine move here. I usually go Quentin Johnston for this team. To be fair, we went one offensive pick. We might go a defensive pick here. Let's change it up a little bit. Tyree Wilson is going to get a ton of hype. Obviously at Texas Tech, they are in Houston. Lubbock. Ugh. For sure, but Lubbock is pretty much nothing but Texas Tech, if you guys do not know. But Tyree Wilson has just been absolutely phenomenal. He's been injured since he hit that 50 pressure mark, unfortunately, but he's still doing a phenomenal job over the entire year. I'm just excited to see him come to the NFL, 6'6", 275 pounds, and again, he brings the production too. The Steelers sitting here. Now, I would not be surprised if they're excited about Jordan Addison being here. I would not. I want to at least test that idea. We need corner, we need tackle. That is 2 huge positions of need. I will pose this, though. In the free agency class, wide receiver, I think, is the weakest. I don't believe the Steelers would necessarily need to grab Jordan Addison, but we do think, me personally as a Steelers fan, I think Kenny Pickett's the answer. So for me, I think Jordan Addison would be a great fit. And Deontay Johnson keeps dropping balls. He only has 1 more year on his contract after this anyway. And do we want to pay him $18 million a year? I don't. I really don't. He's just pretty much been like he's been a guy who can get open but not do much after that. And it's really unfortunate because we know how good he could be. But, if George Pickens is getting pissed off too, I would prefer catering to George Pickens' talent than to Deontay Johnson's. And then I would love to get that initial chemistry there with Jordan Addison. This mock draft, I know it's going to get a lot of hate because of the fact that we need offensive line, but we have that early second-round pick, and we also have 2 second-round picks in general where we could grab someone like Clark Phillips, who has been absolutely locked down against Jordan Addison, speaking of. So I think we're going to go Jordan Addison here just because it's a different pick. Personally, if we're going off of the one pick I think the Steelers should go after, it's going to be a tackle. I'm a huge offensive line guy, but I'm trying to project here and blending in the realism and also blending in the fact that Deontay's going to be coming up for a contract. You're probably not going to have very much depth on that roster. I think Jordan Addison would be awesome. Him, Calvin Austin, as well as George Pickens. You're having 3 super young receivers on cheap contracts for multiple years, and then you could spend the money in free agency on tackles. So, and the Steelers like to spend money on corners anyway in free agency. So we'll see what happens. Of course, this is all live, but pick number 15. So the Lions have already gone after Will Anderson Jr. I think that's a great move for them. I usually like going a corner right here as well. I'm not seeing that as a very likely option. So I'm going to go Trent Simpson. I'm a big fan of the Trent Simpson hype train. About 240 pounds, hyper athlete. A lot of people are saying he's similar to Micah. I'll be the judge of that when I watch him in all 22 because I want to see a little bit more of its coverage ability as well as just his pure pass rush, but we'll see. Pick number 16, my resident Chargers fan. No Trent Simpson, no Jordan Addison on the board. Therefore, we need to go someplace else. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be pounding the table for Brian Bresee. I have him in my 80s. I am not a fan of him at all. I think that he's probably the most overhyped prospect in the entire draft, not named Isaiah Foskey, and I think Isaiah Foskey is better than Brian Bresee at points. So I like the idea of Jackson Smith and Jigba here. I really do like the idea of a receiver. Tight end, you could go Michael Mayer. I just don't think Gerald Everett is that bad. I don't think Michael Mayer moves the needle the way that you need to in order to succeed at this level. But he could be an upgrade. And I do understand that he should probably be a top 20 pick because he is super dominant as a tight end. Defensive interior just does not have the dudes. Linebacker just does not have the dudes at this point. I'm not going to get another edge rusher at this point. Safety, corner now. So it's down to offensive line, which I already know we went offensive line the first last year. So I do like the idea of it. I know Jamari Sawyer's been playing well. I'm kind of cornered down to Bijan as well as Michael Mayer. And I don't think you guys are going to spend necessarily a first on Bijan or on a running back. Let's have some fun, actually. Yeah, I like that idea because of the fact that, I think the Raiders could be trying to target Bijan Robinson. But Bijan is hinted at being a top 15 pick, and I have a hard time trying to get myself on board with that. But I do think this is a team where, hey, where can we move the needle the most? I love Austin Eckler, but I want him to be more of a complementary back rather than the primary. And Bijan, he's Bijan. So, big fan of Bijan Robinson. Pick number 17. I think, Brian Branch I'm not going to do it because I think offensive tackle is going to be probably the primary need of this team. But you got to admit, I like Paris Johnson's mobility and upside. I think that the versatility is certainly going to be attractive to Bill, who also likes looking in the Big Ten for his tackles. I'm saying that as Isaiah Wynn is from the SEC. I was thinking of Michael Onwenu. But regardless, his success so far has been Big Ten with Michael Onwenu specifically. Regardless, no, I think Brian Branch would be such a good fit here. I would love it. But Paris Johnson, really good player. Pick number 18. I usually like Trent Simpson here. He's not on the board. I think Michael Mayer could be a really intriguing option for the team. I'm not going to go that route. I think a boundary corner, who I have as my number 7 overall pick, would be pretty sufficient. I'm going to be scrolling down my board so you guys get to see a little bit more. I'm a big fan of some certain guys who you'll see some random talents that you've probably never heard of here in my top 34. Pick number 19. No quarter. Oh, actually, AR is on the board. Probably going to be my pick. I think that probably will be the case because he is coming out, which means he got a good enough grade for him to be like, well, you know what? I'm not going to need to boost it anymore. Therefore, we're going to go with it out of realism. He's also staying in Florida. It's not Hendon Hooker. I wouldn't draft Hendon Hooker in the first, 25 years old. And then he injured the one part of his ability that is his best ability, which is his mobility. So Anthony Richardson is the pick, not Hendon Hooker. Thank you, PFF, for making this so laborious and drawing it out forever. So pick number 20, I think that, at this rate, who do we draft in the first? CJ Stroud. So we still need an edge rusher. You still have some crazy good talent on the board. And I'm actually digging some Jared Verse right now. Obviously, he'd be that outside linebacker. I think he's around 250 now as well. But I just watched him versus Florida, and holy crap. I've been forgetting to show some love to this dude because he's been injured. Has not shown on tape because of an ankle injury how damn good he is. But, he is phenomenal. I'm talking about, phenomenal. I'm a number 8 player in the draft, but I might need to move him up even more. Legitimately a star. Pick number 21. This might be Michael Mayer, but I think we got to go offensive line here. Broderick Jones, can you have another first-round Georgia offensive lineman? I think so. And the difference is a lot of us had doubts about Isaiah Wilson, so Broderick Jones doesn't really bring those doubts with him. We're just relax. Make sure that you take off the Georgia name and then just look at him as a good tackle. Think about it that way. Offensive line, definitely, especially after the amount of pressures the Eagles got the other day. You need to get some help there. And your identity's through the run game, so it can always help. The Jets, again, I'm pounding the table for offensive line for this team. Anton Harrison is left and right tackle versatility. He's had some slip-ups as well, unfortunately, so that's been a little bit concerning. But the fact is that he's still a really good talent, and I still would try to, see if he works here in New York at pick number 22. So pick number 23, no Anthony Richardson on the board. So I think that Michael Mayer could be a good guy. I think Brian Branch would be just super fun. You like taking slot corners and putting them outside anyway. Why not do it with somebody who's actually built to play the outside? I love Brian Branch, so I'm going to just show him a little bit of love here. He would work so well in a Wink Martindale scheme too, because of the fact that I know he's my favorite fit for the Ravens and the Bills. He'd be a damn good fit there in New York. Pick number 24. So again, right tackle is going to be my position of primary target. And rip to Olu-Fashanu, he's not coming out. We all know that. So still want to show some love to Olu. Because, again, the one guy who I'm thinking of here, Darnell Wright, is not on the board. And you guys can see him there at number 34 on my own personal board. I think that's where I'm going to go. It's not Olu-Fashanu. It is Darnell Wright. He's playing right tackle at he's doing a phenomenal job this year as well. But he's also played left tackle multiple years in his career. Again, you get that versatility. I do like that. Pick number 25. I'm seeing what DBs are on the board right now. Clark Phillips has been absolutely dominant, so I would not be completely shocked if he is a selection here. But I think that we could probably try to look somewhere else and get some better talent. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's going to be definitely a first-round pick. I forgot where I put him. He's probably in my 40s right now, but that's because of injury and because of the fact that he's not even the best receiver on his team and never has been. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But it is another bigger body for Lamar, somebody who can get the ball in space and be able to move, which does seem to be a really good fit there for the Ravens, even if he is about 4.6 speed. We saw Isaiah likely run a 4.8 and looks like a baller here. So I don't think that a 40 time necessarily should translate to success here in Baltimore as long as you can get open. Pick number 26. I still want to go offensive line for this team so badly. I do know that Osiris Torrance is on the board. I do also know that Andrew Voorhees is. Andrew Voorhees is still my number 20 player in the draft. Probably will fall because of his age. But, to me, that really needs to be the focal point. But I also know that Michael Mayer's on the board. He's going to be a stud, and he fits in that up north gritty feel. You guys have loved Hayden Hurst. Different style of tight end for sure, but someone who's going to be a long-term super weapon for you. And now you're having linebackers have a trouble against a much larger, great threat in Michael Mayer, especially after the catch. Pick number 27. So I think this should be a corner. There's just nobody on the board. I like Clark Phillips. He could be a really good Cowboy, but I would be genuinely concerned over his ability to, I just don't think that he could play boundary the way that you'd want him to, and I don't think a slot corner is necessarily worth that first round pick. Wide receiver, I would still not be too surprised to see KAYSHON Butte be on this roster, and I think it's a good idea. I think the Cowboys are looking for, a long-term answer at receiver. Odell, probably the short term. So KAYSHON Butte, certainly in the cards. His talent pops off. You can see it. It's just like whether he's getting benched, whether he's like randomly not producing at all. It's weird why he's so inconsistent, because the talent is always there. So for Kansas City, I do think offensive tackle needs to at least be warranted here. And I know that, my pound for pound favorite tackle, Javon Foster, needs a lot of work, but this definitely seems to be the place to put him. And I'm going to do it. It's going to say Matt Bergeron. It's not Matt Bergeron. It's going to be Javon Foster. I think that the talent of the offensive linemen around him show that at least, one, the coaching is really good, but two, he has good mentors to be able to learn from. His upside is ridiculous, hyper athlete, really good in the run, and he has improved in the pass pro. So Vikings, it's down to receiver or corner for me at the moment. I do like Clark Phillips, but I just don't feel comfortable putting him on the outside. Tyreek Stevenson starting to creep back up into consideration for me, but I'm not there just yet. Running back, some people are talking about as a potential need for the first round. Dalvin Cook's never healthy, and Madison's up for a contract. So I honestly do like the idea of going Antonio Johnson here. That I know you guys don't need to go safety, but Antonio Johnson's really freaking good. And I think that's your best return on your investment. You don't need a tight end anymore. Wide receiver, the top three that should be first rounders are off the board. So I'm not necessarily super hyped up about this pick. This is where I would trade out if I could. But if I have to sit here and get the best value, Antonio Johnson paired up with Lewis Seen is going to be a nasty safety combo with Harrison getting up there in age. So pick number 30. Also, you took him away from a potential Super Bowl contender here in the Bills, because that's probably my second favorite pick for them. The Bills, this is a weird spot as well. I might want to go on the offensive line and get some help out in the interior just because the value is so good. And I like that tackle versatility from Andrew Voorhees. That probably is going to be where I go. So we're going to go Andrew Voorhees here. I want to show a little bit more love for him. I have him way higher on my board than most people. My number 2 player is still on the board. People ask, why don't you take him earlier? Because I blend realism into this out of respect for giving you guys content that you guys can actually consume. When I do my own, fantasy mock drafts, I accidentally clicked around too, so I apologize, guys. Not catfishing you here. I'll put Isaiah McGuire there, but until he proves it, I highly doubt that he will be anywhere close to that first round pick. A lot of people see him as a 4th, so again, out of respect, for you guys, I decide to not go purely off of my board. But this one, Andre Carter looks like a freak. I know that BG is going to be up for a contract soon. I mean, the BG looks like a fucking tank. Anyways, he's like a goddamn D tackle. But Robert Quinn was there for a 1-year deal. I think Andre Carter pairing up with Josh Sweat on the outside along with Hassan Reddick is really, really nasty. So that's going to be the video, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Check out tomorrow for round 2, or actually round 1 with trades. So again, let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Also, this allows me to litmus test different things so that I can see what I can do tomorrow. Thank you guys again. See you on the far side. Peace.